All right, moving on to other issues now. We're moving to our commodities space. And guess what? Since yesterday, I've been hearing some news in the background. Haven't gotten confirmation yet. Vitol Group, Transfigura Group, and BPPLC, they're interested in some assets in Nigeria, talking about the oil and gas part. But thank God we do have Mr. Bismarck Rwani, Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company. He has his way with information and is going to tell us more about this. Mr. Rwani, good morning, and thank you so much for joining the program this morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
So what are these companies doing in Nigeria? What's the latest with them?
Well, Trafigura, Vitol, and Glencore have been partners with Nigeria for a long time. Basically, they're massive oil traders globally. Vitol, for example, is the biggest oil trading company in the world. Now, what have they been doing in Nigeria in the past? What they've been doing is that they've been involved in the swap for crude for refined product swap on behalf of the Nigerian government. So Nigeria exports about 400,000 to 500,000 barrels of oil, and in return receives the equivalent in refined products, i.e. diesel, petrol, kerosene, aviation fuel, and lubricants. That was the deal. Now, we understand that Vitol and Trafigura are interested in selling refined products of Nigeria across the coast of West Africa, in particular diesel for that matter. That's an interesting element because Nigeria, instead of exporting crude to Europe and then the European refiners exporting the refined products to Ghana, Trafigura is actually taking refined products from the Dangote Refinery, ocean evacuated, and taking it into Tema, the port of Tema, the port of Freetown, and also the port of Monrovia. That is what is happening. So in terms of value for Nigeria, Nigeria is getting more value rather than exporting crude, now exporting refined products.
But Mr. Rwani, I did hear, perhaps it's not correct that they seem to want to be like a competition to Dangote, so we don't have monopoly, that they are also looking to enter the space of refining even in Nigeria.
No, I'm not sure about that. The refining capacity in Nigeria is already quite huge. You have 50,000 barrel, one single train refinery. You have Port Harcourt, you have Warri, you have Kaduna, and you have the, the modular refineries. So I think the situation is that these companies are interested maybe in buying the existing refineries. That may be one thing. The other thing is that they are globally they're traders. And so the fact that they own assets will not be exactly a strategic fit for their business. But you never know. As far as we know, and as far as we've heard, it is the first port of call is buying refined products from Dangote Refinery, and the second point of order is to sell them across the coast of West Africa.
So do we have a timeline when they want to start this, and what impacts can we expect that to have on the price of diesel in the domestic front? Because, also exporting may become competition.
The time between when discussions are had and the final investment decision in the petroleum sector is quite long. There's a long lag time. So I would say if they are going to be purchasing assets on the ground here, it will take at least 1 to 2 years. But if they are purchasing products, then that will be very short. That's a matter of weeks. So whichever way, Nigeria benefits. If it's for products, Nigeria benefits short term. If it's for assets, Nigeria benefits both short term and long term.
All right, and then we see the price of diesel is now 1,150 for a liter. It's the same, yes. Almost the same with petrol, yeah. If not cheaper.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the price of diesel actually dropped below that. It was about 1,020 Naira before it went up. But because of the collapse of the grid, there's been massive demand by generator owners for diesel, and that has pushed up the price a little bit. But it is expensive. At the current price, if you buy 1,000 tons, 1,000 liters, you're spending more than 1 million Naira, almost 1,100,000 Naira. And that is expensive. What has happened, therefore, there's been a gradual but consistent shift from generator use to solar panels. The solar panels, you have to store the energy in batteries. So you have those long life batteries, which are people are using. But anyway, the energy mix within the Nigerian corporate space, both in the manufacturing area and even in the offices, has moved more in favor of solar and wind, in other words, renewable energy. We've also seen some people using gas-fired turbines for their manufacturing process.
All right, Mr. Rani, what's going on with the Naira? I haven't heard of any intervention from the CBN, at least this week, but I do know that the World Bank had shared a suggestion to say to be better, and I know you have also expressed this a couple of times.
What we do know...
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Rani.
Okay, what we do know, I didn't quite hear that message, but let me the question. What we do know is that the Naira is strengthening, the dollar is also strengthening. So normally if the dollar strengthens, the Naira weakens against it. But because of certain fundamentals that playing in favor of the Naira, we are beginning to see the Naira appreciate somewhat. It has appreciated by over almost 100 Naira in the last week or two. And once December is approaching, the visiting friends and relatives, the cocoa harvest, main crop, and now with the higher oil production, we are beginning to see some gradual but very slow spending on Naira. Our focus and our projections is that the Naira will begin to strengthen now, but will strengthen further towards the end of December and into January. So we are quite bullish about the value of the Naira. We do not think the Naira is now selling at about 1730. We do not think that's fair value, that's the misaligned value. And we think that Naira begins to strengthen. One, because interest rates are high in Nigeria. Two, because Nigeria is beginning to, the supply from the central bank is increasing. And we believe that once the central bank comes up with a program, which I believe they will do so very soon, then it becomes clear that if you don't get the dollar today, you'll get it tomorrow. If you don't get it tomorrow, you'll get it next week. If you don't get it next week, you get it the following week. That way, the stampede of people buying dollars because they fear it will not be in existence will reduce. Once that reduces, then that premium that comes into the pricing of the dollar because of anticipated shortages will disappear. And that could bring the Naira down towards the range of 16 or 1500, 1550 for a dollar. Is that good value? For now, I can say it's fair value, but it could be better. Everything depends on the availability of dollars and the efficient management of the foreign currency by the central bank.
Yeah, but Mr. Aaron, it does seem like that projection of the Naira at 1,200 this year is gone.
No, I think so. For now, let's forget about 1,200 because that's a pie in the sky at this point in time. But next year, sometime, maybe we'll begin to look at that. But so many things will have to happen. For now, we can forget 1,200 Naira to the dollar, at least in the short term.
All right, Mr. Bismarck Rani, Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me.